everyone, I'm Anna Finch from Finch Press and the debut author of Voiceless. So I'm going to be sorry for being late. I'm about 6 minutes late. Honestly, I woke up later than what I thought I would be because I fell asleep at like about 5 a.m. Because I was about 4 or 5 a.m. I fell asleep because I was actually writing, not the book. I mean, I've written about like 8,000, 9,000 words. Yeah, about 9,000 words in the past like 2 days. But it's not, those 9,000 words, they weren't for the book. That was for the paperwork that I'm behind in, and I'm still behind. I've got another bunch of paperwork I need to finish, and I'm currently doing lesson planning for year 11 law next year. So that's kind of my priority, getting the planning done, because I'll be the only teacher for law in year 11, which is like it's like the senior certificate they're doing starting, and I'm basically the only teacher for that subject in that year level. So I've got to do all the planning, and I mean most of the planning is in the unit plan and what's going to be happening each week. That's done. The resources have been collected and the books have been set and ordered. The thing that I need to plan is the lessons and the activities. So I've been making PowerPoint. Honestly, it's going to end up looking like death by PowerPoint at this stage. I mean, at most I'll just have the learning intention, the activities on the PowerPoint in some cases. But most of the time, the PowerPoint is just going to be for student reference and student notes, and for me to put the videos that we're going to be watching, rather than reading all these different PowerPoints. So for that, I'm currently like, I've finished. I've done sources of law. So I finished technically the first 3. I finished Step Up Week and the first 2 weeks of school. I've planned the lessons for those. This is for next year's lessons. So I'm going to be trying to finish the planning the PowerPoints, the notes and activities, getting that all organized. I mean, I will have to edit them later and change some of the content or the way I teach a lesson. Oops.
Now for the next one.
Oops. Sorry, my phone just went off. So I'll probably have to edit them later, but if I at least have the bulk of the lessons done, I'll be fine. Anyway, that's the main thing. Honestly, that's probably where the lesson planning is probably where most of my words are going to come from, because like the lesson plans with the PowerPoints for each week is about 2,000 words. It's about 2,000 words each week. And this is not counting the other paperwork I've got to do. Yeah, and I'm still writing the book. But I'm just doing it at a slower pace. At this stage, with the book unspoken, this is the first draft. I am still on chapter 5. I haven't written much this week. I haven't finished chapter 5, which is what I was doing last live stream. Most of my words have been just my paperwork, which was necessary, and I've included it in the word girl because honestly I've changed. If you haven't watched my vlog, I've changed my NaNoWRIMO project, so it's unspoken plus other writing, in this case professional writing for my job. So there's that. And once I've got like the bulk of the planning done, I can focus a lot more. Once I got the bulk of the planning for my lessons and that done, I can focus a lot more on writing unspoken. And because the things like everything started to open up here in Victoria, when the school holidays start, I can basically go for a weekend, like a writing retreat to the country. That way I can just focus on writing. I mean, I'll do some traveling, but I can focus on writing. But I'll probably get up to chapter 20 by the end of the month, which is about halfway. And I'll be happy with that. It means I've got somewhere with it. And I will probably end up finishing the first draft by the end of December, as I write a bit every couple of days. And that's okay. I mean, that's 2 weeks behind. Like schedule. This is like this best case scenario schedule. Best case scenario, I get all my drafting and editing done by early March, and I can get my cover designs in March, and I can have a longer pre-order with a release in July. This is best case scenario. Worst case scenario, this is if pattern hold and I procrastinate or I lose motivation. Then my pre-order will probably be about 3 months. So I'll probably end up hopefully starting pre-orders in July. Hold on, July, August, September, October. Yeah, it'll be about 3 months pre-order, which is better than last time. With a release in October, which is basically the same month I publish. So it'll be a year. But I am planning on publishing at least one book a year. Yeah. Anyway, let's just get my notes out. The way I've been... Sorry, I'm just going to find my notes. So I am like into this story. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm into it, but I want to get to the like more exciting bit with all the lies and betrayal, and because it's more fun. Because this book is about character, but it's not. So Voiceless has a particular plot arc that won't be present. A particular type of action dystopia plot arc that is in the book but won't be in Unspoken. Unspoken is more about the side effects, the aftermath of what happened in Voiceless for one particular set of characters, and exploring their trauma, which is interesting. And I'm when I finally get into the like mood of writing, I write, and I can actually sit down and write for an hour if I'm really into a piece of writing, and just write maybe 1,000 words, sometimes more if I'm really into it. But I like when I got like into chapter 2, chapter 3, I'm like, oh, I had this idea for another book in the series, and I'm like, why did I hint at book 2 in book 1? Because this other idea is a lot more interesting. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm kind of torn between working in book 2 and working on, I don't know if it's book 3. I don't know if that idea is book 3 in the series. Let me check. Because I'm planning a 5-book series plus a collection of short stories / novellas in the same universe. No, that one is the last book. That's a dual POV. Oh, sorry, no, it was book 4. It was book 4 in the series. Yeah. Yeah, so and I'm like, "No, I've gotta wait." But the idea for book 4 is just being, like, gnawing in my mind. And I'm like, "Come on, let's do this, let's do this." It's because it's a coming of age story. I'm planning it to be a coming of age story. This book 2 isn't coming. It may be able to fit into coming of age because there is a character growth, but it's not solidly within the category. The next 3 books are. And I'm like, I'm kind of torn. And I just want to start writing the 4th one because it's like interesting. And I'm like, I haven't written something like that before. And because there is some different, I'm planning some different sort of themes and ideas in that particular one. Because I'm like, I just want to do it. Anyway, what I'll do is, let me get set up. All right, so I'll begin my first writing sprint pretty soon. Yeah, so basically this series, this 5-book and a collection of short stories in the same universe, short stories, novellas in the same universe, is, how do I put it? It is mainly focused on character development. So it is set within a fantasy world, but each of the characters will be dealing with, each of the POV characters will be dealing with real world issues, social issues, typically, that people in the real world would experience. And I will be, in that particular series, I'll be trying to incorporate aspects or threads from other fairy tales. So like Snow White. I think I was tied between Sleeping Beauty and Rapunzel for one of them. And Snow White, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty is kind of a tie. And one of these stories is going to incorporate stuff from mythology that's not in exactly a fairy tale. But this is my planning. Sorry, I've got hay fever. So that other one is going to incorporate, like, I'm planning for the Rusalka type spirits or mythology, because it's interesting and it's something different. That's the one I'm interested in currently. All right, let's start our first writing sprint. Okay. All right. Let's see how long. I'll probably do a 15-minute sprint. All right, so we're going to do a 15-minute sprint. Let me just set the timer. And welcome to my new viewer. Welcome to my channel. All right, so I'm going to put 15 minutes. I'll put 16 on here. By the time it takes me to, like, get to the page and log in, it'll be 15. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to mute myself. You're more than welcome to join me for the writing sprint. See how many words we can get in 15 minutes. Okay. All right, how did you go? I got 227 words this time round. Let's see. And I'm now about to do like a little lovey-dovey scene. Not looking forward to the lovey-dovey scene, but I am looking forward to progressing in this particular story. So how many words did you get? Sorry. There we go. 187, maybe 7 minutes ago. That's a pretty good start. Yeah, it's a good start. You're starting to get into the flow of things. Yeah. Next round will be a lot better. Yeah, it's good. What story are you writing? I always feel like I write romances poorly. There's no real right way or wrong way to write a romance beyond making sure that the romance is healthy. That's the only real requirement, really. Unless you're writing a darker sort of story and your plot is focusing on an unhealthy relationship. Look, if you think that you're struggling with like writing romance, you could try. I mean, you can ask beta readers to read it, and they can give you feedback on your writing. You can ask some writing friends. There's writing groups where you can get feedback, and they can help you if you feel like you need to improve in that area. I know Sarah Cannon or Heartbreedings will have some, like, they have some stuff for romance, because I know she writes romance. Space fantasy using Yoruban and Egyptian lore with Castellan, Spain. Okay, that is awesome. Castellano. Yeah, the Castilian. So, are you going to be like incorporating aspects of language, or is that the Castellan Spain? Is that more just a setting? Started out as trial by combat, now it's a galactic conquest. Okay, that's still cool. It's still interesting. That's an interesting plot, and you can, like, there's been books that have made that jump. That have started out being focusing on one small combat, and then it just branches out. Yeah. But getting your first draft done, like, if you can try and finish like your first draft, the first draft is always the hardest, generally. But if you get that first draft done, you can send it and get feedback. There's developmental editors, which can get quite a bit expensive. Or you can ask writing groups. I know there are, depending on where you are, there's Discords for NaNoWRIMO. Melbourne has a Discord for NaNoWRIMO. I know there's some for different states and cities in America. Renaissance Spain. Lots of Castilian language. We're trying to doctor it up. Okay. Yeah, and like, if you're not a native speaker of Castellano, then I would make sure you hire an editor specifically for that. So if you've used phrases or sentences in
Castellano, then I would hire someone who speaks the language to edit and check your grammar and punctuation and sentence, the way the sentences are written in that language. And probably try and keep a glossary of anything you've used in that language in order to help. When you say doctor it up, do you mean like make it so it's a little bit different from the normal Castellano? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, blend it with their fantasy language. That's okay. I mean, like I've actually written like a short story which has 3 languages in it. The English, Spanish, and the Chorua, or at least what words remain from the Chorua culture. And it's more like there's word dropping. It won't. So that sort of stuff does happen in some fantasy books, where there's people who combine different languages. It will still, generally speaking, you'll still be recognizable as the original language. There'll just be words and phrases that appear that are from, say, that fantasy language that have no translation in, say, for example, Castellano. Yeah, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Have you participated in NaNoWRIMO before? Welcome back, Kennedy. So we have done one writing sprint at the moment. We're going to do the second one soon. So Turk Silo, have you done NaNoWRIMO before? Not seriously achievement by this point, but I'm super invested in the story. Oh, it's good. It's good that you're invested in the story. Yeah, so it helps when you're actually interested in the story that you're writing, because you find yourself wanting to see what happens next, or wanting to find out what happens next in the story, which helps. But for me, I'm like I plot everything. Partly because I'm a perfectionist, and partly because that's how I was taught. But I plot everything like for novels, which kind of means the discovery is not there. The discovery type of writing is not there. All right. Okay, so let's do our next writing sprint. All right. How many minutes would you like to go for? Cool. So how many minutes would you like this next sprint to go for? So Kennedy, how many? 15 minutes. Turk Silo, what about you? How long would you like to go for? All right, you know what? We'll do 15 again. All right, so I'll set my timer. Okay. Let's start. 15 works for you. Cool. All right, let's start. I'll mute myself. Okay. I got 162 words this session. Yeah, no worries, Texalo. Cool. All right, so I got 162 words this session. I've just got to write down, put it on the NaNoWRIMO website. All right. So right now I am sitting at 17,000 words out of 50,000. So I'm at 17,000 words, which means I am, oh, let's see how far behind I am. So I'm about 17,000 words behind. But I'll catch up from doing my paperwork. As long as I just write something every day, I'll be able to catch up. No worries. Cool. You got 352 words. That's awesome. Oh, so okay. So your story note, that makes sense thematically, but it's sad as. Well. Oh. Okay. Knox's over eagerness for love and tendency for violence due to abusive childhood causes him to abuse Vax and physically hurt him and push him away completely. Yeah, well, that story note, or that scene, it's important. I mean, it's sad, but it's important. It helps drive the story. Yeah, I there was a couple of like moments in when I was writing Voiceless, a couple of scenes where I'm like writing while I was writing, I was in tears because I cared about the characters so much and certain stuff was happening, and I'm like, no. But yeah, yeah. If you're unsure about how to like like what sort of characteristics you need to use for that particular scene or moment, or factors that drive people in certain situations, there's a book called The Emotional Wound Thesaurus, and it basically has stuff for character development, so people who come from a background of trauma in different situations. And it's got things like what they might think in certain situations, what they might feel. It's pretty good. So I do recommend it. It helped me with this book. To be honest, it helped me with the with Unspoken, because there's a lot more. The trauma is a lot more focused in this as well. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I only got the 162 words because I had to actually step away and take my hay fever medication because I couldn't breathe properly, because of it, because of my hay fever. That, and I had to move my car because my brother put his car in the garage, which I'm gonna have to move it. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd mention a resource, just in case. That, and there's like, a lot of the places that deal with this sort of stuff, if you speak with them about it, most of them, even if you're speaking about it from a writing perspective, most of them will be willing to talk to you and give you that other side. Okay. Are you enjoying writing the story? Oh, I'm just looking at the time. We can probably do 2 more writing sprints today before I have to leave. Okay. Ow. How long would you like to do the next writing sprint for? That's awesome. Well, good luck, and I really hope you go through with it and you can get it to debut. Are you looking for self-publishing or traditional publishing? $15 or $20? We can do a 20. We'll do a 20. Yeah. Yep. About the publishing, yeah. So self or traditional publishing? What do you think you might be looking into? Oh, you're not sure yet? Okay, that's all right. I don't know if I think there's a person. I think I don't know if it was Alatore. No, Latore. Latore. Meg Latour, that's the one. Meg Latour, she's published self-publishing, but she's worked as an agent in a traditional publishing house. She's got quite a few videos about both of them, and you can have, and she goes over like pros and cons and stuff, so you can have a look, and they're pretty interesting, her videos. Oh, cool. You're doing a local writer Zoom tomorrow from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's all right. That's cool. That's around this time, yeah. Yeah. Like, unfortunately for me, pretty much all the NaNoWRIMO writing sprints, most of the people who do the writing sprints are in America, which means that in my time, like, oh, my time, at the time that it is in Australia when those sprints run, it's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And most days, like during the week, most of the time I'm asleep at that time, so I can't exactly join in. But good luck with the local writing sprint tomorrow. What channel actually is it? Because 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. your time is roughly around this time here in Australia. I'll probably end up joining if I know what channel it is. Mm. All right. Alright, sorry. Okay. Alright, so let's start the yep, okay, cool. I'll look for it, give me a sec. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, 'cause roughly 9 p.m. your time is like 1 o'clock or midday here in Australia, which means I can actually join in because it's at a decent time. Cool. $8:45 there. 8:45 is 8:45 would be roughly 12 o'clock ish. Quarter to 1. It'd probably be. You live is it in Mexico or Canada? I'll have a look. It'll be written down. Be written down somewhere. I'll have a look on YouTube, see if I can find it. But yeah, in order to check what time it is here in Australia, but it'll be roughly this time, so it would be decent. It would be a decent time. I'll be up by then. All right. Let's. If you do end up finding the name of the channel, pop it in the chat, and I'll go and like save it. Okay, so let's do 20-minute writing sprint. So I'll just set the timer. All right, cool. All right. Okay, so let's start. I'll just mute myself. And good luck with the word count. Okay. All right, just give me a moment. I've just got to count how many words I got this round. Okay, so I got 220 words. I've just got to add that to NaNoWRIMO. Okay. Alright, so I only need about 900 more words and I will reach my NaNoWRIMO word goal for the day. Because now my NaNoWRIMO word goal is at like 3,500 a day because of how many days I've missed. Anyway, how did you go? Is that between both sessions? That's awesome. Yeah. Welcome, Karen. But I am very confused. Why are you posting that in the chat? I'm really confused. What does that have to do with the writing sprints or NaNoWRIMO? Anyway, Kirby, how many words do you have left for today? Or have you already met your word goal? Maybe. I still don't get why they put that in the comments. I think they put something similar last time. You've met your goal? That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it helps if you spread it out. Yeah. I'm probably going to end up doing that for this book. I'm probably going to end up spreading it out for this book and finishing it by the end of November because I will have 2 weeks. Oh, no, not end of November, end of December. I'll have about 2 weeks. 2 weeks in December where I don't have anything really. I mean, I've got a week currently still booked for Queensland. But I'm probably going to cancel that because I had to reschedule. I'm probably going to cancel that and just go to probably go to the Grampians or something here in Victoria, so I don't accidentally risk myself in getting trapped in Queensland because of restrictions. Yeah, so that word goal of 3,500 is basically just for NaNoWRIMO. Like, it's because I've literally, I'll say how many days I've actually written this month. I'll just count. Like, I have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I've written like 9 days. I've missed, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've missed like 12 days of writing this month. Which is why it's so high. But anyway, hopefully I can get up to chapter 20 by the end of this month. Here's hoping. Because then it will start picking up around there in chapter 20. Let's see because I've got the notes written down exactly what I need to do for each bit. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, chapter 20 is finally chapter 20 is when like the when it starts to get darker and a bit more it's where the kind of the theme of betrayal and lies starts to become a bit more obvious and visible to the characters, the two POV characters. So it's going to start getting interesting around there. So I'll probably end up flying past those other chapters in chapter 20. So I've got the summer holidays. So even if I don't finish this month, I've got the summer holidays where if I can get the planning done this month for my teaching, then I can have the summer holidays to just like flesh out that first draft. And it means I can take my time a bit more, produce a better quality first draft, because I noticed for NaNoWRIMO last year, for Voiceless, because I wrote it then, my first draft wasn't bad, like plot-wise, but grammar, the understandability of certain passages and sentences was completely off. Whereas now, when I'm looking over this NaNoWRIMO, what I've written for the book, it's a lot more clearer and more better developed. So I've improved it, and I think I've improved the structure. I shouldn't have as many plot developmental issues as I did when I was doing the first few drafts of Voiceless. Yeah. How many POVs do you usually have? I have my main 2 plus 2 side ones and extra ones to show what's going on in the whole plot. That's interesting. So when I wrote Voiceless, originally it was, I think there was 3 POVs. There was Moriah, so the main character. There was a POV written in, there was a couple of POVs written in Abdiel's point of view. Abdiel's the Moriah's father. And there was a POV written in Michael's point of view, which was her love interest. So I had 3 POVs. I ended up having to restructure quite a bit of the story and adding more background in that and reducing Voiceless to a single POV. But for this book in particular, there's 2 POVs. So for Unspoken, there are 2. The female character and the male character both have their own POV, and they both have their own separate but connected storylines, because the male character is the female character's love interest, or future love interest at this stage. But he is also the antagonist for her, at least until you find out who the real antagonist is towards the end. So 2 POV. I'm trying to think, like, I generally do multiple POVs when, at least for the first draft of everything, it's multiple. But for this one, I'm planning, unless my developmental editor says otherwise, I'm planning for this one to be dual POV. Pretty much all of them will be dual, or in one case, 3 POVs for this series. But for like the short stories, I've written, pretty much all of them are dual POV, or more. Like in one case, I had like 5 POVs in like a short 10,000 word story. Yeah, so in short stories with the multiple POVs, a lot of the time I write them as unreliable narrators, simply because it's more interesting. And I think I wrote one story purposely with multiple POVs, and I was very vague about who was actually speaking, particularly the name of the character. You don't find out which character is whose POV until the end, which is interesting. It was fun to write. And I think there was a short story that I wrote with LGBT plus characters that had multiple POVs as well. I haven't published it, but it's got multiple POVs, and which is interesting. Yeah. You can't physically write a whole story in one POV. I struggle for the first draft writing a whole story in one POV, simply because when I'm writing that first draft, particularly if I haven't planned a lot of it, but in this case for this one I have planned quite a bit, then what I find is I get to a scene, I get stuck, I don't know how to write it, and I just like, you know what, I can't write it from this character's point of view. There's another character there, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And I just write in the other character's point of view for that chapter or scene, so that I can continue writing. I did that a lot in NaNoWRIMO last year, and like I also jumped between chapters. Like I jumped from chapter 3 to chapter like 30 in NaNoWRIMO because I'm like, you know what, I want to write about this battle, and I just went and did it. I think I still kept it just a bit altered to being the other character's POV. Yeah. Now, dual POV story or multiple POV stories are very interesting because you get to see more than what you would normally get from a single POV. You learn more about the characters, how other people see those, how other characters see each other. You can also do more plot twists, and that within there hint and foreshadow certain things. So I enjoy the dual POV. I enjoy writing multiple POV. Yeah. So this stage, at least this one, I want to write more multiple POV. The only reason why this isn't a multiple POV is because it worked better with a single one. Yeah. All right. Right now, Australian time, it's 1:50 in the afternoon. I can probably do one more 10-15 minute sprint before I have to leave. But yeah. Did you have any questions about anything? Yep. All right. 10 or 15. Cool. You thinking about trying to order the book? Oh, paperback, ebook. So I've got those two editions out. Hardback and large print come out in March next year because it took me longer to get the covers. What type of books do you prefer? Sounds good? Yep, that's okay. Like, oh, cool. I'll set the timer. Yeah. You prefer hard copies to ebooks? Yeah. I know that you can order from bookstores if you want to get a paper copy, paperback. Because I published through Ingram Spark, and that's this company that most bookstores use. You just need to make sure you have the ISBN. And it's the same with most self-published books. If they published the paperback through Ingram Spark, then you can order it through there. I know that Barnes and Noble, if you're in the US, has that. Amazon has copies as well, if you're interested. Yeah. But I think it's about, I don't know if it's about $16.99 in Barnes and Noble, I think. Ebook, if you did want to have a read of the ebook, the ebook will be on special during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for 5 days. So from the Thursday the 26th to the 30th of November. So if you wanted to read the ebook, that's available at a discount for $2.99. Anyway, all right, let's set up 10 minutes. So this is the last writing sprint. This is the 4th writing sprint, and it's the last one for the day. Thank you. Yeah, when I saw, because I used 99 designs to get the cover design, and I did the one where people submitted the covers they designed, so I got multiple entries. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, I love it. I fell in love with it. There were other covers that are pretty good that appeared, but they appeared later. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, and it kind of fits with the genre as well. I'm going to try and hire the same cover designer for the next one, so that the style of both books, or all the books in the series, match. Yeah. All right. So let's do 10 minutes. All right. Okay. I'll put 11 on the timer, because by the time, I'll put 10 minutes. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So this is the last sprint for the day. I'm just going to mute myself. Yeah. All right. I got 79 words that time round. Not many, mainly because I kept on procrastinating and looking at some other stuff. Well, that, and I was actually looking up a word. I couldn't remember how to describe. I didn't know if bittersweet was the right word to describe a particular emotion that my character or has noticed in someone else. And I'm like literally typing into Google, what is a word for happy and for being happy and sad at the same time? Like, bittersweet didn't fit. So I ended up learning a new word. Swadade. 225 words. That is awesome. That's awesome. You're well ahead of your word goal for today. It's awesome. Anyway, so that was the last sprint for today. I need a break. That, and I'm going to the cinemas in a couple of hours. In like an hour, I have to leave to go to the cinema to watch Heaven's Feel. It was Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel. Yeah, that, and I'm also going to end up watching Supernatural. I'm behind like 5 seasons. YouTube kept on spoiling like the most important scenes. Anyway, so that was the last sprint. I'll be doing sprints next week at the same time. So 12 o'clock. My time is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. My time, Australian time, is about, I'm trying to think, what time did you end up coming in? 12. So you came in 12:47. So it is probably about 7-ish. It's about 7-ish your time next week. Thank you. Hope so. I was supposed to go with my brother because he asked me and he said, I said what time I wanted to go. I came back and found out he went without me. I've been trying to avoid him so he doesn't give any spoilers to the final part of this movie. The first 2 parts were absolutely awesome. Yeah. Anyway, next week for the riding sprints, I'll be going a bit longer that time, so I'll be doing a marathon. So I'll do a 2-hour block between 12 and 2 p.m. Australian time. I'll have maybe a 45 minute break, so there'll be a pause after that, and then I'll do another 2-hour block, because next week, or next Saturday for me, there's like 3 days until the end of Nano. So I'm going to try and get as much work as I can in that time. Yeah, so it'll be a marathon. It will probably go for about 4 or 5 hours, that live. Maybe longer depending on how I am on the day and how everyone's feeling. Anyway. All right. I'm going to go. Thank you for joining me on the live sprint. And I'll see you next week, and good luck with your word count and writing your book. All right. Bye. Where is the button?